So I'm with the Asian AV Club. It's a relatively new outlet that basically we like to talk not only about the film but also a little bit about your past and like kind of do a nice little profile of you in the
Love it.
7 minutes that I have. So this is going to be fun. Um,
Okay.
so when director Shal like kind of reached out to you about doing this film, can I ask what the conversation was that you guys had that like because when I saw this, it was really beautiful about like to me it felt like a film about like generational trauma and like there's all these like wonderful like kind of subtext like in this film and I'm just curious like when he was pitching it to you, what were kind of the nice things that he was kind of doing to kind of sell this movie to you, or are you a fan of horror or whatever? What were the things that kind of made you want to work on this?
Yes, I'm a big fan of horror. And like you said, I think the themes of generational trauma and also being in this space in a film that's Asian led is not normal. I don't see a lot of horror films about Asian people. I mean, we just see more things about Asian people in general, but specifically horror films. Yeah, and we talked a lot about generational trauma. We talked a lot about like the things that sort of follow you through generations from, the past. And I think I related to that very deeply because my parents are refugees from the Vietnam War. So it was, yeah, it felt very personal.
The irony is that the character Val, she's like an inspirational speaker, but literally she's trying to scratch out like what's bothering her. Like it's like she's going deep to like she is going deep.
Yes.
And so what was that like to physically play? And also, I mean, it was I mean, it made me scratch my head too. So I'm just curious, like what was it like for you
Well,
to kind
okay.
of like go through that?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I think what was really interesting about that concept is this sort of like idea about duality in identities, that you could present yourself a certain way, but actually be a completely different person. And I found that to be really interesting. And I also find that to be something that's really true about a lot of people that sort of do this sort of public facing work. You have to present a certain way, and then inside you could be really broken and not willing to address those things. So yeah, physically, dude, this is one of the hardest things I've ever done. This movie, we shot it in 22 days. I was basically in every scene, so it was really, really intense. I am so grateful to the crew and to Shal and to Miles because they're truly the only reason why I'm alive. But the physicality of the itching was one thing, but then also, as you've seen the film, there's just so much physicality in this movie. It was intense, and I think I tapped into my anxiety, which I already have. It's already there. It was just like more intense in this. Yeah.
What I appreciate about this film is that it didn't really go through a lot of CG. There's a lot of physical, like kind of like practical horror, and I thought that was really cool too. And so to kind of be around a filmmaker who's trying things out and it looks beautiful, and so like to like try all this stuff and make it look scary, but also use things like I don't know, like maybe talk of like being amongst like these creative people who are like making things around you as scary as possible. That must have been a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and it's also our DP Scott, who is also like our camera operator. He was incredible. Um, and it really was like it really felt we were in Kentucky shooting this movie. Most of it was in that house, and so it was really we all became really, really close. Um, and yeah, it was really cool to be around. Anytime I can be in anything where there's practical elements, it's just so exciting to me. Yeah, Sanchi being like a real monster that was there, it just made all of the difference. I am really grateful to Shao to have been a part of this. And yeah, it was just a wild, wild ride all the way through.
What I appreciate about your career in general is that I'm always curious about what you're going to be doing next. Like there's no like kind of similarity, and like the last project is not what you did this time around. And I definitely went into your IMDb like those don't look like this one either. And so I'm just curious, like as a person who's able to book work, like what is it about? What kind of stories do you want to tell or be able to say yes to that kind of excite you? I mean, and I'm just curious, like what and also you get to work with like new directors, which I think is so amazing too. So it's like
Yeah.
this amazing thing that you have this amazing power that you can like do a lot of interesting things at the same time.
Yeah, well, that first of all, thank you for saying that. That makes me really excited because I think that that is my one big goal in my career is that I never want to do the same thing twice. I want people to look at my career and be like slightly confused, you know? I wanted to be like, what's she doing next? Like, what's going on? Um, and like you said, I've had the privilege of working with so many Asian directors this past year, and I I think I don't even know if this was part of my plan, but ironically, I think the thing that as a kid I had a hard time with, which was, these parts of my identity that I felt like I needed to hide, whether that was like being an Asian person, being a child of immigrants, or being a queer person. And now it feels like a lot of my art and the things that I gravitate towards are celebrating those identities. And I think I am not limited to any genre in terms of the things that I want to do. I just want to continue to celebrate the parts of myself that as a kid I think I was afraid of.
I love the fact that like I didn't realize this, but your roots started in comedy, and just I love. I didn't get a chance to see Wedding Banquet yet, but I love the fact that you're able to flex a little bit of that in that film too, and I'm just curious, like, are there goals to really kind of go back to your roots, a hint to kind of like do types of films that, like, I mean, yeah, you do improv, and I'm just curious, like, are these elements,
Yeah.
or does that come into play in the films that you're doing, even in horror, something like that? Will that be able, like, I'm just curious, like, if the yes and kind of like plays a good role, like a part in the kind of choices
Yeah.
that you make.
Absolutely. I mean, I think improv has played a role in everything I've ever done. It played a role in like these more dramatic roles as well. Like there was a little improv in Star Wars, there's a little improv in Sorry for Your Loss, there was a little even you're emoting and you're doing these other things, but like those moments in between that aren't written, there's a lot of improv happening there. Um, but to your question, I'm dying to do more comedy. Like truly, I had such a good time on Wedding Banquet. I mean, that film has a lot of emotions in it as well. Um, but yeah, I did improv, I did sketch comedy, I did college humor. Like I'm dying to do more comedy stuff. So I'm excited to see, hopefully in the future, if I can do
This is
more.
my literally last question. Because I always ask everybody, I'm like, was there a film or a certain thing that like made you, when you watched it at a young age, and you were just like, I want to be a part of that? Like, I remember my first memory of film, and I was like, I need to see more of this. And I'm just curious, was there anything like growing up that kind of really like opened your imagination and really kind of inspired you to like think maybe I kind of want to do more of whatever this is that like now you're doing? I'm just curious if there's an origin story, basically, is what I want to
Totally.
know.
No, I honestly, the first thing I ever wanted to do was musical theater, and I'm still dying to do more musical theater. Um, yeah, I grew up on like obsessing over Leah Salonga, and I just want to be her still. I hope that answers your question.
No, let's put it out there. Let's have that
Yeah.
collab. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen. Thank you so much. This is really lovely, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to talk to you. So
Thank
congratulations on
you.
this
This was
film.
awesome.
And
Also, I really
uh,
like your glasses.
oh, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.